All right, so just want to say thank you, dude, for coming on and like sharing your story with us in the LCL community.
Of course.
TaylorCutFilms, we're in the house right now.
Yeah, literally in my house.
Seriously. Yeah. So I mean, I wanted to really get with I feel one of the best creators of our generation, and
Well, thank you.
and like I've been following you for some time now, and just really impressed, man, with your work. And there's a lot of people today that are creating content, but like not many that I feel are really these like millennial filmmakers, cinematographers that really have their own like really unique style. And your journey, looking back at what you've done and who you've worked with and to get to where you are now, I think is really cool. And I wanted to kind of get into your journey and like how it all started, how it all began. Did you grow up, someone who was always creative, artistic, into film? And then kind of, if you had some like trials and tribulations and like what you've had to go through because being a creator is not easy. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people aspire to like create content and like kind of pave a way by being artistic, but it's not an easy lifestyle either, but it's also very fulfilling.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of wanted to get into like how it all began for you. Did you always consider yourself a filmmaker, like growing up, like that you wanted to get into film? Right?
Yeah, I think I always knew that videos was what spoke to me the most. Funny enough, I think it started with my grandma, because my grandma would babysit me, and her form of babysitting was to throw on a movie. And my mom, I'm sure, would yell at her for that, but it was like that opened me up to, I'd watch everything that she'd watch, so like classics, and I think that's when I started to realize that I really love film. And of course, Disney movies, I'm a sucker for Disney and animated movies. It's like, if I can live as Peter Pan, I think I'd be pretty okay with it. Yeah, and then I took a video production course in high school, and I think that was my freshman year of high school, and we learned Adobe Premiere. I had no idea what it was, what you could do with it, and I think I was hooked ever since then. Like as soon as I realized that I can make videos for school assignments, let alone just for fun, that's like all I ever wanted to do. As soon as I heard we had a class project and they were like, okay, you could either do a PowerPoint, an essay, or a video, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm like a video. And I would like do friends' projects for them. I would like do their videos just because I wanted to. And I don't know, there was always something about it. I had like one of those VHS video cameras, and I'd goof around with that and like record me and my buddy skateboarding, and that was like the earliest stages of me making videos. But yeah, I made like a viral video within my town before like YouTube and viral videos were a thing, and like we burnt it to a CD, and then it like circulated like the surrounding high schools, and like that was like the version of virality back then. And yeah, I
remember I used to burn those CDs.
Yeah,
bringing it back.
I used to sell bootleg CDs.
Me too.
That's how I'd like make money. No piracy law.
That's cool. And then so man, really young, you obviously figured out like your passion. Where I feel like a lot of people in high school come like senior year, like, wait a second, fuck, like I'm going to college. I have no idea what I want to really do.
Yeah, I was lucky in that sense. It just like I knew. I just like that's all I ever wanted. But also for me, I feel like I'm very heavily into music. It's like I'm a storyteller for sure, but what like spurs my inspiration more than anything is listening to music. Like I'm constantly looking for new music. I just love, like for me there was no better feeling than like having a brand new mixtape of songs that I can like listen to in the car or like whatever. But always I'd picture visuals to music, and that was like the easiest way for me to like create something. I mean, because it's difficult to kind of like, audio is a whole nother beast within filmmaking, and I learned a lot more of that from going to college and studying that, and it definitely helped. But like the easiest thing well, not that it's easy, but like the most simplistic form of it was like listening to a song and then being like, okay, in my head I already have like a movie, and I'm like, now here, how do I take that from my head and put it into on the screen? And that's just practice. That's like, And also YouTube's like a blessing too, because you can search anything. You can be like, if you want to learn how to, it's definitely much more advanced now. Like when I was coming up, you couldn't be like, how do I do sky replacement? Like that wasn't a thing. It was more so like, how do I make a cut right here? With like, what button does that, you know? But yeah, it's everything's at your disposal now, so it's pretty cool.
But like, did you in college? Did you like go all in on filmmaking for many years? Were there the professors like mentors for you going through there that you kind of still kind of really have to just from practicing? Is that how you learned?
Yeah, it was more so like, I don't want to say that I learned more in high school than I did in college. It was more of like those were my formative years in high school. Like I went from being like a blank canvas, not knowing anything, to learning Adobe Premiere, and then from that actively searching online and being like, what cameras for this price point is good to get. And then that's like right when like the boom of the DSLR cameras started to come, and then I knew I like saved up all the money I had to go and get like a Canon 7D, and that was like the first camera I had. And I remember when I went to college my freshman year, that was like, not that it was an advanced camera, but like they didn't even have that yet there. So it's like, when you have a school assignment, you go and you can like rent cameras from the facility there. But
right.
Like everyone wanted to, use the 7D because it was so small and portable. So it was like kind of like a groundbreaking time there. But I think more so in college, I learned the theory of filmmaking, which is super important, and like why certain things work, and that like I apply that today for sure. It's like when I'm editing, it's like, why do these two shots not feel good next to each other? It's like not necessarily, it's like there's a bunch of different things, and I learned that in school. It's like it could be the lighting, it could be that you shouldn't go from a motion shot to a tripod shot, and it feels jarring, and like what's the purpose of the shot? A low angle like empowers the person, and all these little like subconscious things that you may feel that you don't quite understand. It helped kind of break that down, and that helped for me. And then also just like being around kids that liked doing what I liked doing was probably the biggest thing. So it's like every single day. I wouldn't say I was a weirdo in school, but I was like I was the kid who can like take a joke way too far and keep running with it. Like if someone made a joke about an elephant, all of a sudden like it's 30 minutes later, you're like, yo, he's still on this joke. But like I always just loved, with my imagination, it was cool being with a bunch of kids that like they were equally as like quirky and unique, and just like every day it was like it is cool, like you were saying, to be like an influencer. Like that's a weird term, but it's cool that like you can wake up every day and just be, especially like in this building with so many people that do that, but you can just wake up and be like, oh, I have an idea of like, what if the milk's not in the fridge? And then all of a sudden you just do it, and then you make it, and then you don't really get judged by it except for the haters online. But like it's really cool that you can just do that whenever you want to. And yeah, that was the coolest thing I think about college, is like constantly collaborating. That was,
for a long time though, I'm sure it was just like, it just made you happy. It was a passion.
Mm-hmm.
You were just like, I wanted to continue to just do this because it's like, it's what drives me.
Yeah.
But did you have like a dream? Like what was your like dream with it?
I mean, I
Was it, like,
still do. I still want to direct movies. That's like my ultimate dream for sure. I think I'm gonna get there. It's funny because like along the way you like you have curves, and it breaks off into different paths and
different chapters.
Yeah, I love where everything's heading, and I still think that's my ultimate dream for sure. And I think that's what I'm starting to implement more now into my own style of video making, if you will. It's like I was doing like vlogging for a little bit, more so just to like have consistent content to put out and also show people my personality, but always there'd be like a TaylorCut film at the end. And I think more so now I'm kind of like steering towards like, I'm only going to put out a video when it's something that really speaks to me, and it's like, it's almost like my portfolio. And I think now I'm going to start working more on like, if it is for me, it's going to be these bigger projects. And it's, for a long time I was just working on other people's stuff, and I didn't even realize that it was like something I can create for myself. It's like, usually if you're a photographer, or if you're a cinematographer or something, you're kind of curating for another person. I was lucky to do that with a bunch of musical artists, and then all of a sudden it was like something in my gut told me, it's like, I really like this, but it's not the truest happiness I can possibly have. It's like there's things I don't want to be told what to make or what like edit to do with this, and it's not that I don't like feedback and constructive criticism. It's more so it's like I'd love to just be able to create for myself, and that's what I'm really happy I get the ability to do now. It's like if I wanted to, I can just pack up and, you know, like tomorrow fly to Australia. That's for like a brand campaign, but when I'm out there, I'm a kid. It's like it's a field day for me. It's like it's the same thing as being in school, and all of a sudden you have like a field trip, and now I just get to like explore a country I've never been before and just be like completely adventurous. And you mentioned earlier like Alyssa, how she's like affected my life. It's like we're very compatible in that sense. It's like it's really cool to have like a girlfriend and a best friend and someone that you can travel with, and then when you're there, it's like she doesn't find it weird. She loves it if it's like, oh, like go stand over there and like twirl or pretend you're like lost, and like, oh, this is gonna feel like you're in an enchanted forest, don't worry, and like just like living in that and believing in that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And that's where the directing kind of comes in, and you love it, huh?
Yeah, I love it for sure. And then just being able to like tell stories, and then that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
I mean, I share a similar passion to you. I've never dove into being behind the camera or editing, but like, I just really enjoy storytelling, you know, and shining light on people's lives and like being able to help tell their stories as well, and try to inspire. That's what we're doing. It's
amazing.
So I appreciate that. Being on here again.
Of course.
Did you so how did it go? So you graduated, and I think you also you went and took business classes as well, right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of artists that feel, you know, they're calling it passion, but they actually don't even think about the business end. Did that play any?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have my mom to thank for that. She's very like strong, opinionated mother, and she's absolutely amazing. And she cares for me more than anything in the entire world. And
is she from Jersey?
She's from Jersey. Oh, well, she's originally from South Africa,
Cool.
She's got Jersey blood in her now. So
and what is your background?
I'm pretty much South African. I'm all South African. Okay. I mean, my mom's whole side of the family is South African. My dad was born in South Africa, but his whole family is Sicilian. Okay. So I have some Italian in there.
Cool.
That's where my anger comes from.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the business, she kind of pushed you on that?
Yeah, I mean, she was super supportive. It's like, I'm sure a lot of like overbearing parents, if you tell them you want to get into like an abstract field that there's no guaranteed success in anything, but like something like, you know, the arts, if it's like film or art or philosophy or something like that, they'll probably like be like, oh, it's more safe and secure to do this. She just said like, do whatever you want, follow your dreams, just like have something to fall back on. So I majored in film and I minored in business, which was cool because business is in everything as well, and you know, learning marketing and advertising and I mean how the government works and what the GOP is like. It's a necessary tool. So like that helped for sure. And then I ended up double minoring. I took philosophy as well, just because like I feel like when you're in college too, you're just like, who am I, and like what do I, and like it's just cool like taking those like philosophy, psychology classes and be like, oh, this is why I'm sad, and this is why I snap at my mom every 30 seconds, because I know she'll always be, and like just understanding your own thoughts is amazing, and it's definitely applicable to like filmmaking too, because then you know why you're sad. All right, how do I express this? Yeah, it's important. But yeah.
And then talk to me about the fact that, you know, it's, even though you've evolved, it's like you've gone on tour with already at a young age, like with Usher, you were working with Justin Bieber, Martin Garrix. How did that kind of all unfold, working with some of like the leading, you know, musicians and singers and artists in the world, and making content for them? It's
funny because it's like definitely not something I planned or had it's not something that I wouldn't want to have happen, but it's like, I remember in high school or just like even today, it's like, how do you get exactly what you want? And the thing is, it's like there is no way to do it, or there's no street to do it. It's kind of just like a mindset, and just as long as I think, I'm a big believer in like kind of thinking things into fruition, and it's I was just really passionate about it and really hungry about it, and I just knew that I wanted to do it, so I was actively creating every day, and my first kind of film-related job after I graduated college was working for a production company shooting for the Food Network. It was cool. Like every day I was in New York and we got to go to different restaurants and try different food, and I was like shooting for Man vs. Food, and I was like, this is a dream job. And then after like 2 weeks, I was like, I hate this, because it's like, I wasn't, like, I don't care about money. Money's great, but like if I'm miserable, it's, so I was like, this isn't creatively satisfying me. So on the weekend, I would actually look on Facebook and see like what, almost like the stock market, like what artists were like up and coming, and I would see if they were coming and playing in like these smaller venues in New York, and then I would make friends with the bouncers, and then I would like, they'd let me into the venue, and then I would shoot the artist, and I would then at the end of it kind of find their manager and say, hey, my name is Jordan, I'm gonna make an edit of the, like a little recap of the show. I'll send it to you. You don't have to pay me, but if you use it, just say TaylorCutFilms made it. And that's kind of how like I started to get my name out there. And then I would get hit up by some local artists in New York. And then it ended up catching the attention of this artist named Chris Cab and his manager. And at the time, he had just signed to Pharrell. So they asked me if I wanted to go on tour for 3 months with him and kind of make like tour recaps, and he was opening up for T-Pain and Gym Class Heroes. And so I quit my job at the Food Network, I went on tour for 3 months, and while I was on tour, T-Pain and Gym Class Heroes didn't have videographers either, so I was like I was shooting all 3 of them.
Wow. And
every night I was making an edit for each one of them. So like I wasn't sleeping, I was editing on the bus, but like I loved it, you know? And then I remember I did that for 3 months. It was like almost like a high. It's like it just constantly on the go. And I remember coming home and it was like silent. It was like you stopped, and it was almost like post-traumatic stress because you're just like, now what? You're used to like waking up and going, and like I still have that to this day. It's like if I'm home for 3 days, I need to go. But I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm never gonna work again. Like, now what? You know? And then like the next day, I got a random text. He was like, hey, someone put me in, gave me your information. There's a gig in New York filming someone for 4 days. Do you think you can do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I remember saying like, is it a paid gig? And he goes, laugh out loud, yeah, it's filming Usher. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, so obviously I said yes. And then he was starring in an off-Broadway show. I filmed him for 4 days. And I remember like on that also a lot of things that I tell people too is it's not so much like your skill set is very valuable, but it's also like being personable and a good person. Yeah. Especially like in the field of filming people, because it's really intimate. And I think part of the reason why I've had success in this is because I have a pretty good read on people and when they want to be filmed and when they don't want to be filmed and how and things of that nature. And I just remember clicking with Usher, you know, like I was nervous, I didn't want to like overstep my boundaries, and I was just trying to be polite and yada yada, but like he would crack jokes every once in a while, and we had some similar sense of humor, so I would crack jokes, and all of a sudden it's just like, you know, when you just vibe with the person. And I remember at the end of the 4 days I was like saying goodbye to everybody, and he was like, oh, what are you doing tomorrow? And I was like, nothing, I was just gonna go home. He's like, oh, I have Saturday Night Live, can you come film that also? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And then after Saturday Night Live, he's like, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm like, nothing. He's like, oh, we got the Billboard Awards in Vegas, can you come to the Billboard Awards? I'm like, yeah. And I was in Vegas and I was like filming his rehearsal, and I remember his day-to-day manager came up to me and she was like, call your family and tell them you're not gonna be home for a while. And I was like, it's cool with me. And it ended up being just about 3 years.
No way.
Yeah, so I'd be home like, I'd say like 3 days out of every month. Like and it was amazing. It was perfect. It was perfect like timing. He never had like a videographer that had stayed with him for that length of time before, and I like kind of worked my way through the ranks, you know, like I went as like doing something being like BTS video to they were like, oh, can you do photo? And I was like, and I'm also like, I was taught if you don't know how to do something, you say yes and then you figure it out. So like I was like, yeah, I'm great at photo, and then I figured it out. And then from there they were like, it started giving me more responsibilities. I was running a social media after like a year because I was taking all of the photos, and he didn't have time to like look through, and he trusted my eye. So I was like posting for him, and then, he was going on tour and he needed tour content, and he trusted my ability to make stuff. So I ended up like, to this day, I remember one of like my greatest fulfillments was my grandparents and my parents came to a sold out show in Madison Square Garden. Usher was performing, they got to meet Usher. And then I remember it was like the opening act went on, and then all of a sudden the lights dimmed, and like the lights come on, like signal the band starts performing, and Usher hasn't come on yet, and everyone starts screaming, and the first thing that comes on is like a video that I made. I made the tour intro, and it's like everyone's like 60,000 people are screaming, and I was just like, I remember like people would be like, has it hit you yet? And stuff like that, and I was just like, no, like, because day to day you don't really like feel a difference, you feel like the same person you were yesterday. It's like when's your birthday and you turn 21, they're like, how's it feel to be 21? It's like, I felt the same as 6 hours ago, I don't know. It's kind of that feeling. It's like if you're perpetually moving, you don't have time to think of it. And I remember that was like one of those moments where it's like,
Finally, like, was like, wow.
It finally hit me. I was like, this is pretty dope. People are like, this is something I made, and he trusted me to make this, and that was awesome. And then I just kept luckily just went from there, and I was blessed to meet a bunch of people along the way. I met Justin from that because of his affiliation with Usher, and then I just met a bunch of cool people, and it's just about.
It's weird because like it in my life, it's been very similar in the sense that like when you're just a good person, you're genuine.
Yeah.
You stick to what you love doing and you're good at, and you're just like an honest, have integrity, like good person. Like I just feel like the law of attraction really does work. Like things manifest in your life. You meet good people, and like I remember when I first started as an entrepreneur, like I hustled my ass off to get like the very first person to believe in me, like the very, very first person, and I'll never forget like calling like so many different CEOs to like believe in me, and I was like, give me a shot, and just like by giving my all to it, and like showing that I really genuinely cared about that client. I really wanted to do something for them. Yeah. Little by little, they started to just word of mouth introduce me to the next client, introduce me to someone else, before I knew it. I didn't actually have to ever advertise what I did or who I was. Yeah. Just people started to come to me because of the work that I put out, and because I took pride in my work. And I feel like that you've continued to follow that. Like you take pride in what you do.
For sure.
And in every little thing that you put out, and like I'm really excited to see where it's going. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, me too.
So then Justin Bieber, I guess you went on tour with him as well. Then you went on tour with Martin Garrix. And are you going to continue working with musicians, and as you're building out your films, your personal brand?
I think now it'll be more so in like a music video type of aspect. I think I'm done with the touring life. It was amazing. I got to see the world. I got to experience places and things in a way that most people never get to experience ever. And I'm so fortunate for that, but it was exhausting, and you don't really have much time for yourself. And I'm fortunate now that I'm in a place where I can travel for myself and like make a living doing it, and get to really see things. So I think I'm gonna stick to traveling in that regard. But luckily Martin's team reached out to me, and I had like this little window, and they were needed to shoot a music video in San Francisco, and I know them decently well, so we ended up like scrapping something together in a couple of days. And nice. But I'd love to. And
then you were in a music video yourself, right?
Yeah, that was an accident.
Talk to me about that, because that's like crazy. I think you have like, from what I know, from what I've seen, like the most watched video ever. It's like over 1 billion views, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You edited that one too?
Yeah.
You edited that video too?
Yeah. So it was really, since me and Alyssa started dating, like I said, we just enjoy making videos together, and what it was is. We did like 2 or 3, we did like a trip to Malibu, then we did a trip to Laguna Beach, and like everywhere I go, I just film stuff and I'll make like little edits. And these were like little Instagram edits. They're like 1 minute edits. And I'm really, one of my best friends is Roy Kramer. We met each other on the road. I think he was either with the Chainsmokers when I met him, or he might have been with Cruella, but we stayed in touch. I love staying in touch with people who do something similar like I do, and we just clicked, and we hang out a bunch, and he was touring with the Chainsmokers and still is on and off, and they needed to make a lyric video for Closer. It was going to be their new single at the time. And Rory, like similar to what I just had to do with Martin, he had 3 days to put a video together. So he called me and he was like, I have 3 days, can I use all the footage and edit that you've already done with Alyssa, and maybe we can like figure out like a storyline within that. And I was like, yeah, for sure. So he sent me the song, kind of like thought it out a little bit and came up with the idea of just having like these like Polaroid photos like scattered out, like this is literally where it was, just us sitting here. And then they're supposed to like, each photo is like a memory, and then it goes into these little memories, which were like stuff that we already shot in Laguna and Malibu. And we literally spent 1 day in Malibu. We rented a Range Rover, just drove around, did some drone stuff, whatever. Rory ended up taking my footage and edits and putting it together in like a night, and then I colored it. He threw he did his handwriting on top of it, and it was good. And like that was like the last I thought of it. It was just like whatever. And I remember him texting me just being like, hey, like the label thinks this might be a big song. It'll probably get like 100 million views on YouTube. And I was like, oh, I'm like, that's crazy. 100 million views? That's insane. And I remember I was traveling at the time, and he texted me and he was like, it just hit 100 million. It was like in the first like 3 days or something like that. I'm like, oh shit. And I remember hearing it more on the radio, and then like they were gonna make a music video for it, because we did the lyric video, but like the lyric video was doing so well that they ended up making a music video, but they like pushed it like 5 months or something like that. So it just kept accumulating views, and it was just like funny. And like I would get people that I haven't spoken to in high school in forever. I'd get like Snapchats of them in a bar, and they'd be like, is this you? And I'm like, yeah, it's me. But yeah, it's funny, like getting recognized from that, or having like social media followers from that, being like, I still to this day, I'll get like random, like I'll write a caption or something, and everyone will be like, you're the hey guy. Yeah. And like the song's not called Hey, just because the opening line's hey, like that's like, so that's gonna like, that'll outlive me for sure. But yeah, it's super surreal.
Yeah, it was a sick moment.
Yeah, it's weird.
And then now I feel like I mean, it's pretty amazing. Social media also probably gave you another outlet, ever since especially with Alyssa and what you guys have done together. And I think it's really, really inspiring.
Yeah, it's fun.
And now, I mean, it's pretty cool. We had Jeremy Johnson and Tom Johnson in last season, episode 1. I was just like,
yeah, did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
And just talking about how much like it's been a game changer for them, to be able to, turn it into a real business where like you can do what you love, and like they had like that whole like world's coolest job. But
yeah,
like you actually, you're a testament to that too.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's surreal. I feel like, do you feel that anyone can now similarly create that kind of lifestyle?
For sure. We're in like, I mean, I feel like America's always been like, ideal wise, has been like the place where you, like the land of opportunity, where you can like kind of create your own like niche and job and whatever, and be an entrepreneur. But yeah, I think now with social media, it's like you can be your own brand. You can be, as long as you're careful about it. And I mean, there's pros and cons, because like I watch, and like just my advice to people would be like, be careful, and because your legacy and your brand and your reputation is all you have in this world. So like there's a lot of people that just want to get followers and make money, and like they end up, I wouldn't say like selling out's the word, but they'll do like gimmicky stuff. And to some people, I mean, not to knock certain people, like if that's what appeals to you, but don't do it just because you think that's what's necessary,
or that's what's gonna like make you some money, or that's the cool thing.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I feel like that's happening a lot right now.
Of course, everyone just wants, because and it's also I blame
it's like the drug though.
I blame the people consuming it more than I blame the people putting it out. It's like if you know, people always say, why is so and so famous? It's like, well, we're consuming what they're putting out. That's why. It has nothing like that, you know. So I kind of blame. I feel like in a certain way we're like losing.
You think it's a generational thing, like?
Yeah, I think it's like an ADD thing, and I think it's our attention spans are way down. I mean, I feel like they've always been bad, but yeah, even like in times of like problematic situations, like with whatever presidential campaigns and things like that, we like to consume and kind of block out the negativity, and it's easy just to like consume junk and to like turn your brain off because it's like it's passive. You don't have to like think about it. It's not stressful. And I think some like I like exercising my brain and thinking, and even if it stresses me out, like and
just like learning, challenging yourself, and like also like getting to, like I think people are scared to like feel. Like I talk about this with my team. I'm like, if we're gonna like create something, like, you know, we have to make the people like feel something. You know, like it's got to be something that like touches you and like pulls emotion out of you. And I feel like that's something that's similar to the work that like your videos make me feel something. You know what I mean?
I
like
try.
But there's a lot of, you know, I think just a lot of the generation though, they're like scared of that. They're scared of emotion. They're scared of pain. They're scared of love right now. You know, they're like being in a relationship, putting it out there. It's a pretty big responsibility.
Just being vulnerable in general.
Being vulnerable, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Louis C.K. has like a stand-up bit about this too. It's just like, that's why everyone's so like consumed to their phone. It's like as soon as you start feeling like just a minuscule amount of like you're scared or you're alone or you're sad, like it's so easy. Like we have this thing in our pocket that we can pick up and just like instantaneously just like entertain ourselves and like tune it out, rather than like allowing that wave of emotion to hit us. And like if you need to cry, you can cry. And like Louis C.K. has like a bit about it. He was like, I was in the car and I was like driving and like a Bruce Springsteen song came on that like reminded me of like high school, and it was so nostalgic, and like I was gonna turn it off, but I let it like hit me and I just cried. I cried like a bitch. I just wept in my car. And you know what? It was amazing because of I had this moment of complete sadness. I was like, it was met with this moment of complete happiness, because without sadness you can't have happiness. Right. And he was like, I feel like everyone nowadays are just like completely okay with just like living in this kind of like floating numbness where it's like you don't quite feel happy or sad because you're too scared to feel one of the extremes. And it's sad, but like or just find the thing that makes you feel that thing. You know, for me it was like I remember I'd watch a movie and for whatever reason I felt like I was there, and I'd cry and I'd be like, this connects with me. I want to be able to do that and take the way that I feel and like present it in a way that other people can do the same way. Or if it's music, if you listen to a song and it transports you to somewhere else, like I just think it's important, like poetry, whatever, just whatever you can, like whatever outlet you have, whether it's consuming it or producing it, like it's
acknowledging it and actually going through it. And I feel like it's the only way to like really overcome it. I mean, I just went through this, you know, being in a relationship for 3 years. We put our relationship out. We're making videos to get like, he was like, we love, full out love, you know? And, you know, in a young relationship though, like we had to learn how to also still kind of be independent, you know, and grow, and that wasn't happening. So I was like, hey, like, I think maybe we should try this, and it really wasn't working. And, you know, it ended up like over time, like being something where we ended up splitting, you know. It was like, hey, I think like it's not working. We need to like go and be a little more independent. And I felt like I was doing that for her. And then once it was done, dude, like, man, I felt vulnerable, man. Like, I went through it, you know what I'm saying? It was, like, really, really tough. But I felt like it was important for me, for my growth, to, like, really go through that and, like, feel it and, like, get to know myself, and for her. And I feel like sometimes you gotta do that in order for you to grow. You know what I'm saying?
Relationships are tricky in that sense, too, because it's, like, both of you are growing, and you're not always going to stay the same as when you first met, and you're not going to be like on a day-to-day basis. You continue to grow, and it's all about like finding that balance of like, what direction am I heading, what direction are you heading? And it's like, but at the same time, it's like, even if you do end up splitting, it's like you both contributed so much to each other's lives, like for better or for worse. It's like that you are who you are because of those interactions that you had with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what's a moment in your life that you felt like really vulnerable? Did you have any moments of like,
Oh, for sure.
kind of breaking points for you?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started touring, I wasn't home like ever, and through that, it put a strain on like all the relationships in my life. So like, didn't talk to my parents that much, didn't talk to my sister that much. At the time, I had a girlfriend that we started dating in high school, and when, like you said, when you start dating very young, it's like all of a sudden it's hard to distinguish love and comfortability. It's like you get scared of the thought of this person no longer being this role that they've always been in your life, because you've become so almost like codependent with that
Right.
person. And it's like we were growing apart just from like distance and like just everything, and it was like, yeah, there were times where I was like gonna not do my job anymore or continue to travel, because it was putting such a strain on us. And she was like an amazing person too, and she was like, no, this is your love, this is your passion, do it, and like I want the best for you. And we both like very maturely realized that this relationship had grown into something that was no longer what it was when we were younger. So yeah, it was an 8-year relationship that we ended. Yeah, but it ended very sadly, but very as copacetic of an ending it could be. Like, she studied psychology as well. We can always talk, and it was just like we've become just like friends, you know. We were just like, you know, two ships passing in the night.
Yeah, it's like you have that understanding, and you know, similar to like what I just went through, right? It was like not cheating or anything like that. It was like you both talk and say like, okay, well, this is what it is. We don't, you know, it's a tough situation, but I think also like when you do that and it's mature and it's like, you know, you forgive, and like now you've grown.
Yeah, yeah, that was one of the scariest things for sure. It's like, and I remember when like, because I'd lived in the East Coast my whole life, and when I had finished touring, and you know, me and her had kind of like separated ways, and everything was like, it almost felt like a new chapter. And I remember Usher was filming The Voice at the time, so we were in LA, and I extended my stay just to like contemplate the idea of looking at apartments. And I asked a buddy if he had any recommendations, because he lives in LA, and I'm like, do you know any like apartment complexes or yada yada I should check out? He said, check out where I'm living now. He's like, I have a buddy who lives in the building, and I went to the leasing office. I was like inquiring, and I ended up signing a lease that day. It was like the most like impromptu thing ever. They're like, we have this, it opens up in like 2 weeks, and for this price, and it was like everything was just like so perfect. And I remember I like ended up bumping into someone here that like I had met. She was like doing content for Ariana Grande, and like I was just like, oh, she was like, yeah, we have a bunch of friends that live in the building, they're creative. And I was just like, I need this, yeah. And I ended up moving out and coming to LA, and yeah, haven't looked back since.
Yeah, and it just like completely changed your environment, changed people you're around, and then you found the new love of your life.
Yeah.
Right? So how did that happen?
I for like a year was like, I'm not getting in a relationship. I'm not even like proactively looking for what, like, because I was in the mindset of I need to figure out me again, because it's like when you're with somebody for that long, it's like, who am I without this person? And so I just focused on work. I focused on like making new friends, and that's exactly what I did. And I wasn't. It's funny, it's like when you're not looking for something is like kind of when it
They say.
yeah, when it ends up happening. And it was like I was at a restaurant called Cafe Gratitude just down in Larchmont.
Yeah, it's banging there.
Yeah, vegan restaurant. Alyssa's vegan. I was vegan, but now I eat fish. So I lost way too much weight. But I remember I was sitting at a table with some buddies, and I saw Alyssa from like across the way, and she was sitting with a friend. And like I saw her, and I like just turned to my buddy. I'm like, I'm literally in love. And he was like, what? And I'm like, oh, this girl. And he's like, go say something. I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you do? She's at a table. I'm just gonna get up and want to ask how her water is. So whatever, we continued on with our lunch, and her and her friend like get up and like leave, and like something like came over me. I'm like, all right, and I got up and like I followed them like out the restaurant like a psychopath, and she was walking away, and I remember I didn't know what to say, and I was like, I like your backpack. Like a crazy person. Like, I'm surprised Law & Order SVU didn't happen right there. And she was like, oh, thanks, I just got it today. And I was like, oh, thank God. So we made like small talk. I asked where she was from, where her friend was from. They're like, oh, we're from Vancouver. We're in town. We've been here for the summer. We're auditioning, yada, yada. So we kind of like spoke for like 5 or 10 minutes, and then like the rest of the group that I was eating lunch with got up to leave, and I got in my buddy Jeff's car, who's from New York, and he was like, did you get her number? And I was like, nah, I didn't. And he sees like her and her friend, Alyssa and her friend, like walking on the sidewalk, and he like busts a U-turn in the middle of the road, like screeching aggressive, and just whips up next to her, rolls down his window. And the reason why I said he's from New York is because in a very New York way, he goes, hey, I think my friend forgot something. And she goes, oh yeah, what's that? He goes, your number. And she's like, okay. So like, I hand my phone, and then she's typing her number into my like keypad, and he goes, oh, we're having a little get together tonight. It's gonna be good for networking. You guys should come. And she's like, okay, sure. And he's like, yeah, he'll text you about it. So she, for some reason, she doesn't save her number. She just puts in the keypad. So we're driving away. I go to hit plus, and the friend calls. I'm like, no, Ron, not now. And I hang up, and her number's wiped.
Oh my God.
And Jeff's like, we can't turn around again. I'll look like a crazy person. Yeah. So I end up like an even bigger crazy person. I end up like finding her online. I like searched like Alyssa, Vancouver actress, then her friend Taylor, Vancouver actress. Ended up finding her friend. Then I found her Twitter. Then I looked at who she followed on Twitter, found Alyssa, and DM'd her, and she didn't respond. I was like, oh, well, fuck me. And like, I was like genuinely bummed about it. I don't know why, because it's like you meet someone for like 5 minutes, and usually it's just like, oh, whatever. But like, I don't know. I just like was really excited about it, and I felt good things about it. And like, you could ask my friends to this day. I was like the saddest I've been in a while. I was like, man, I'm so sad. She ends up like DMing me back like 2 months later, being like, oh my God, I don't use like social media. I don't use DMs. Like, I thought you forgot about me, laugh out loud. And she's like, if you're ever in Vancouver, if I'm ever in LA, we should like hang out. Don't talk to her for like 6 months, and then randomly at a birthday party, I'm like just like walking around, and all of a sudden she comes walking into the party, and I didn't like realize that it was the girl that I like spoke with at Gratitude. I just like something instantly attracted me, and I was like, I need to talk to her right now. And like as soon as she like walked in, like in the entryway, I went to talk to her, and like legitimately for the rest of the night, like 3.5 hours, we stood in one place just talking. And like my friends would come up and like make fun of me and like yada yada. And like probably 10 minutes into our conversation, I realized in my head, I'm like, oh shit, this is the girl from like that I met at Graduate. I'm like, do I say something that's like awkward? So like I didn't say anything, but in our conversations we realized it was like, oh, what's your favorite movie? And we had like the same favorite movie. I'm like, what's your favorite song? I'm like, no, that's my favorite song. I'm like, when's your birthday? Just to see if we had the same like sign. And she was like, July 7th. I'm like, shut the fuck up, because we have the same birthday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was like, no way. So it was like one of those really weird circumstances, and literally from like that night, we ended up getting like lunch the next day, and then dinner that same day. Then she left for Vancouver. We like FaceTimed every day for 3 days, and then I'm not name dropping, but she like texted me, and she was like, oh, your boy's performing in Vancouver this weekend. Like you should come with him. And like, so Justin was performing, and like I was like, yo, I gotta come. So like we go to Vancouver, and then I end up like getting a hotel. I remember that was a really weird situation. I was asking my friends, I'm like, yo, do I stay at her place? Like, no, you crazy person, you don't stay at her place. Like, you barely know her. I'm like, I feel like I know her. And then we like end up taking her like on a date, and then we like go to Justin's show, and just like literally we became like boyfriend and girlfriend from like that day. And like she ended up moving in with me like a month later. It was just one of those like super quick like circumstances where it feels like, so it was cool.
That's sick, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I was like not in the headspace for like, I just didn't think I was going to get a girl. Yeah.
That's like when it like is
for sure. And it's like, I know I have like friends now going through breakups and going through stuff, and like, how long did it take you to get over yada yada? I'm like man, like it's there's no like set like time or like remedy for any of that. It just kind of like when it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
So
That's dope, man.
luckily it did.
That's and then like when did it turn into you were like, wow, like I want to make like actually show the world this love, like this relationship.
I think it was natural. I love making videos and I love her, and I spend most of my time with her, and she is an actress by trait, so she is not shy in front of the camera, and she loves seeing how happy I am making it and just wants to be a part of it, and it's just very organic, you know, and she likes exploring and seeing the world as much as I do. So it's like it's cool that we get to do it and create it together. She'll come up with half of the ideas too, and we're like out in Hawaii in the middle of a forest. She was like, "Oh, it'd be cool if I had like this flowy dress," and I'm like, "Yeah." And like half of the stuff, like for me, my creative process comes out in the editing, and like a lot of it is because she's doing like I don't direct her. Like I'll be like filming, and she just like is great on camera and is like doing things, and all of a sudden like then I can piece a story together, and it's natural. Yeah,
That's so dope.
yeah.
What would you say for like the people out there that really want to learn? Like I know you do a lot of like how-tos and you share a lot of your tactics, but like how hard is it? Like can someone really pick up a camera and start to really
I think if you have the will and I think most of all if you love it, then it's easy, because I don't think it's like someone's predestined or determined to be a filmmaker or videographer. If it's like if that's what you love, then it's like it just makes everything easier. It's the same thing with like work. It's like I never really truly enjoy doing geometry because I didn't like it and it didn't call to me, and I had friends that just like loved it, and I loved physics for some reason, and I can like memorize physics equations because it's like I'm like, holy shit, this is the reason why when I throw a ball it like continues to bounce, like that just like it processed and that it clicked with me. And I think it's the same thing with video. It's like a lot of the stuff is very technical and very nerdy, for lack of a better term, but if like you like it and as you're reading it, it excites you, then I think it's easy. It's like, I love, like, my favorite thing is like getting a new camera and not reading the manual and then just exploring the menu and figuring stuff out, being like, oh my, what is this? What is aperture priority? What is this? Or what is it? And just like, I just love it because, and for me, I love like knowing the little ins and outs and tricks of something that other people may not know, and like how to get the best out of something. It's like these high-end expensive cameras, a lot of people think you're going to turn it on and just like inherently it's going to be a better video. It's like that's not the case. It just means you have more customization to it. That's why it's more expensive. Like if you have a more expensive television, doesn't mean out of the box. It means if you wanted to customize it, you have the ability to do so. And it's like, I think that's the difference in the learning curve. It's like people will go and just buy the most expensive thing thinking that it's going to give them the best product. But it's like, I remember when I was on a budget, I was pulling the most out of what I had because I figured out how to do it. I figured out what color profile would make it look the most like a Red camera, and figure out once I have that, how do I then color it to make it look like a movie. And then once I do that, it's like, oh, it only shoots 60 frames per second, but then how do is there a way in post to make it look like it's slower than 60 frames a second, but like it's jittery? Like, do I need to change my shutter speed for that? And like, it's just all, it's a like Alice in Wonderland. You just keep going down the wormhole, and and then that's passion. You can't teach that, you know. You just have to want to know it.
What do you think about like the future of video content, like mobile right now? We've touched upon this a little bit about thinking about like, you know, is there room for new platforms to be coming out for, you know, for cinematographers, for premium content creators? Is there like, what do you think about for the future of content, and especially like in this world where everything is being streamed now?
I mean, I'm like bittersweet about it too, because I'm like such an old school train of thought. Like if there's like a good movie I really want to see, like I'm not renting it. I want to go. Right. I want to go in a movie theater. I want to go watch it on a big screen with like surround sound, and all that jazz. But at the same time, I completely understand how people want to consume things at their leisure and what's very comfortable. And like, we're blessed to be in a time where technology is so advanced and accessible that you can do that. You can, like, if you wanted to, like, stream 1080 to your iPad while you take a poop, and it's like, that's crazy, you know? You can watch, people are watching like complete series on their iPad, and it's but yeah, I've always struggled with where to put what I consider my like higher end content, because it's like I was very reluctant to ever post on YouTube because of the content I would see on YouTube, and also I frankly don't think that they have the best like compression algorithm, and I don't think they necessarily care as much as the quality as opposed to like the viewership and getting more eyeballs on it. I know they're like starting YouTube TV and yada yada, and I think that's just to compete with Netflix, but I do think there is room in the marketplace for high-end video content, because I would post on Vimeo, and it doesn't get the same eyeballs. It also doesn't allow for the same type of monetization, and it's not as mobile friendly. There's just a lot of How
do you feel about the fact that like YouTube changed the, like all that monetization, and like it is tough to like, I mean, especially when you are passionate about it, like to be able to learn how to get creative on the way that you can monetize your content. I mean, it seems like you've been able to figure a lot of that out. I mean, traveling the world, working with big brands right now and stuff like that. Like, are there any tips that you have? Like, how did that happen for you?
I mean, that's something I didn't really like seek out. It was more so staying true to like me and my brand. I never like, I remember when I first started to post, and like when I first moved into this building and stuff, and I was hanging out with a lot of influencers, like I would post like selfies, or you get caught up like trying to like hang and create content with people that you think like would help gain your following based on like the amount of followers they had, and like I immediately realized that didn't feel good to me, and I care more about I stopped caring about like how many likes and stuff I was getting, and more so if people like respected the work that I was putting up, and also if I really respected the work that I put up. And I think that's what allows me to work with the kind of brands that I do, because I don't like settling for the type of content that I put up. And it's like, I obviously have friends with way more followers, but
I feel like, yeah, of course. I mean, I agree. I mean, and I've been able to work with some really cool brands where a lot of them say like, you know, there's people that have like bigger followings than you, but we feel like you like relate to our brand better or align with our brand better. And I feel like that's what's like really important. Although we live in a time where people are caught up with just trying to get as many followers as possible and not caring about, you know, and I think they care more about the clicks and the followers and the views more than, you know, more than putting out the best content. And I feel like that is leadership to me, is when you're able to say, you know what, if everyone is going one way, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be willing to go the other way. And I feel like you've been able to find, which a lot of people struggle with, but like find what I call find that leader within, to say like, this is what I love. This is my style. I'm not going to waver. I'm not going to try to do what I think everyone wants me to do and what's going to get me more views or likes. I'm going to stay true to this style and who I am and this type of content that's going to create this type of emotion. And it seems like
I'm also just stubborn. Like if I don't generally like it, I can't do it. I can't force myself to do it. I can't. So yeah, I'm like luckily stubborn in that sense, where it's like if I am trying to like, I've tried to edit in a certain way or to make something in a certain way, and it's just like, it doesn't feel right. It's like trying to shoot a basketball with your left hand. It's like, this feels weird. I'd rather just shoot with my right hand. I'm much better at doing that. And I know I'm lucky enough to know like what I like, and to have the confidence to like, even if people say it's lame, to be like, whatever. Like, I like it. Hopefully someone else will like it.
You know, I think one of the biggest things that creatives struggle with, and I want to understand how you do this, is like they have like creative blocks. Like, do you ever go through that where you have like creative blocks, and how do you like get through those creative, like those creative blocks?
I always like, two things. Like one, I think your like downtime is equally as important as your work time, because for me it's like right now I'm go 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 go, and I feel myself I'm gonna crash eventually. Like
hopefully you're on the plane until I'll show you.
Yeah, yeah, it's impossible, but it's also I do a lot of things for me. Like I like getting Thai massages. They hurt me, and it feels amazing. It's like physical therapy. I'm really into nutrition, and I like eating well. I like drinking juices. I played basketball in college. I love exercising. I like doing things that I can clear my mind, and I think that's equally, for sure, as important as you can spend like everyone. I know a lot of people that just like work, but like your brain is a muscle like anything else, and you like when you lift, what's the first thing people tell you is like the rest day is just as important as the like, and it's true. It's like you can't work the muscle 24/7. It needs time to heal, and then also I force myself to be in situations that I wouldn't normally be in, and that allows me to see things in a new light, and then I get creative from that. Like I used to be scared to travel. I used to be scared to get on public transportation. I used to be scared to get on subways. I get like anxiety. And then I remember like my mom forced me to like go to camp and to do these different things. And it's like, I started to notice that almost always the thing that the experiences that I was the most scared to do ended up being the best. And I live by that. I want to do something new every day. I want to have something lined up that's new. I want to go somewhere I've never been before. I definitely want to eat something I've never been experience. I want to experience everything that this world has to offer before I die. And I think that forces me to be creative, because it's like I've never been to Australia, and I'm sure I'm gonna see things that I've never seen before, experience things I've never experienced before. And that, to me, I love going to countries that I don't know the language. Like that's my favorite, because I'm so out of my element, and then it allows me to see that place,
that culture, it's completely different,
and from their point of view. And then I come home and I take that with me, and I get to make a video, and I get to relive that, and I get to have that for me. Like my trip to India was like one of my favorite things I've ever done.
Best. I love
Thank
that
you.
video.
Yeah, and it was just, that's how I felt being there, and like I just want to do that endless times. Yeah, and that just keeps me creative.
Do you, while you're away, like get into editing mode, like you're excited to edit, or do you kind of wait till you kind of get home and digress all the content? Or
I'll go through footage. I'll like look through the clips, and just to be like, make sure, one, I didn't delete it, two, it's in focus, and like just to see, like I love reliving the day, being like, oh my god, this was amazing, like look what the sunrise looked like this morning, yada yada, and then just like keeping a mental note of everything. And yeah, it definitely gets me hyped for when but I need like I'm not the type of I mean, I can edit on the road, but it's like I'd much rather have my like little cocoon of like shutting out the world and putting my headphones in, and then I feel like that's where I can translate.
Do you make
everything
sure
better.
to take time to also like just be present and like take it all in? Like, do you ever? Or is basically like when you're shooting, like you're really.
I mean, when I'm shooting, I don't pay attention to anything but that. But I make sure I've become a lot better at knowing what I need to shoot and what I don't need to shoot.
So you're very, very intentional with like, okay.
Yeah, I used to just shoot everything with no intention, with no understanding of what I was gonna do with it, but I just knew like, or I'd have like an anxiety attack. I'd get somewhere, I'm like, this is so fucking beautiful, I need to shoot everything right now, holy shit, I'm not gonna be able to get everything, everyone calm down, I gotta take out the drone in 5 minutes, and like all of a sudden I got nothing good. I probably got in a fight with everyone I was with, and I didn't enjoy the day. And now it's more so, it's like, I'll get to a spot and like take it in first before doing anything, and be like, if it feels good, then I can know what to, and then you end up finding the little gems that like we went to the Taj Mahal and it was absolutely beautiful, but some of the best content we got was like on the side of the Taj Mahal, like by the bushes, because there was like these rose pet, like, and that was just from like chilling and just being like, it's all right. And when you're with a lot of other content creators, it can be stressful too, because everyone's like fighting for that one good shot, but it's all about just yeah, taking your time and enjoying it.
Do you like taking big risks too? Like going to the, like, like life fucking threatening?
Yeah, me and my buddy, we like to climb cranes, and he cliff jumps a lot more than I do just because I don't know how to backflip. So so when he backflips and we joke, I do the Christ air. That's my move. I just jump in, put my arms out like this, and hold it for like 7 seconds till I fall. But I leave the cliff jumping to him because he looks a lot cooler. But yeah, I love heights. I would love to do an open door helicopter at every place I go to. I think that's like the coolest way to see some place. Yeah, I love being scared. Yeah.
So what advice would you leave to a lot of the like aspiring like creators right now that, I mean, a lot of people right now want to break free because they're like, they're still in that 9 to 5, or they're in college, they're like, and they want to create, maybe they have that passion. Like, what advice would you give to like the younger you, or
I mean, advice that I would have given my younger self too is like, one, don't stress about your circumstances and like what you perceive you need to do right now in this moment. Because I remember like when you're graduating college, you're about to go into college or whatever, when you're in these like transitional periods, you feel this pressure of like needing to make like the right move right at that time, or else your whole life is going to get thrown off track and like you're never going to progress. I think it's more so about finding out what your voice is. I think that's the most important for sure, because we live in a time too where everyone's like trying to be somebody else, and I think it's amazing to like borrow from people and to get inspired by people, but you should never like try to copy somebody, because there's already one of that person in the world. Like now show the world who you are. I think once you can find your voice, I think then you'll see like a lane will then appear, and you'll just trust your gut, whatever feels good. We make thousands of decisions a day, whether it's like basic decisions or complicated decisions, and like pretty much every decision we make is just based on what our gut instinct is. It's, I don't want to do, no, I'll do it. And then just trust that, because that's a thing that's not going to lead you wrong. Just like realize your voice and always listen to it. That's all you can do.
I love it, dude.
There's no guidebook, no Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I would love to definitely do a trip one of these days together, shoot some really cool content together. I mean, I know the whole squad would love that.
Always.
You know what I mean? It'd be really dope. And
I'm always down to. That's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, bro. And I'm just excited, man, to just build a relationship with you, build a friendship with you. I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing with the whole community.
This is fun.
So community, and it's really cool to see what you got going on next. And it just seems like every day, just taking it in stride, man. You just never know,
Yeah.
And already you've done a lot. It's impressive and it's inspiring.
Thank you.
Sweet, dude.
Thank you. This was dope.
Yeah.